Okay, I at least appreciate in this episode of Arc 5 that, one, we had the most adorable moment where we had Grace and Gloria holding each other, hugging like that. It's like, it's just you're making more and more reasons to me to love these girls, and it's like, oh, I just want them in the main cast all the time, or like, scratch that, I just want Grace in all the time, because they fucking adore, like, Yuya's style of dueling, especially Grace, and they're just like, look at this and all that. It's like, we've been defeated by Atlantis, who gives a fuck and all that, you're being like such a pouty bitch and all that, Gloria, fuck that shit, fuck all that noise. And we finally get to see the conclusion between both Aster and Yuya, this duel, and I gotta say, what Yuya pulled out, there was some really cool cards that came out. I was really surprised when he used like the pendulum summon. He's like, oh, I brought back Dagger Man and I brought back my Odd Eyes. Gonna sacrifice the both of them, and it's like, oh, here comes my enter, like, you know, like my smiling mage like that, like with level 8. And I'm like, I'm glad that Yuya's got like his own version, like a dark magician in his way, because obviously, you know, every like guy like throughout every series, as you've noticed, always has that 2500 attack point monster. It's throughout every series and all that, you know. Obviously with the first one we had Dark Magician, second Neos, third one Synchro Dragon, fourth one Hope. This one, obviously it's Odd Eyes, but it's like, I don't know, just like, it's nice to have a magician in there as well, like, you know, I know, like, he's had, like, obviously, like, the time, like, his, obviously, like, a bunch of pendulum cards, but it's nice just to have, like, I think this is the most powerfulest, like, pendulum monster that he's got, obviously, like, excluding the Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, like, into it, like, since that's, like, the XYZ monster, and then I think Brave Eyes isn't like a pendulum monster, so that's kind of, like, a bit weird, but it's like coming into, I think that is his most powerfulest one, and that he had to increase the scale just to, like, bring it back, and its effect is, and like once it, anytime like, you know, an effect that changes its attack points or anything or all that, or a monster's effect to like attack is changed, it gets 1000. So it was like kind of the way to combat against like the whole dystopia guy. But Aster had all the options. He had to keep going out all these trap cards, all these gaining effect stuff, and just Yuya had him to keep pushing, and trying to beat this card. And meanwhile, we got, like, whilst this was happening, was like side by side with the with his father, like Yusho, trying to go against him. And it's like, yeah, you smiled against my dad when you did that stuff. He's like, nah, bollocks and all that. Like that's the right way through this shit. It's like, you know, dueling is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be full of rage and power. And I'm like, dude, like this, I like you sometimes want to slap these guys like, it's a fucking card game. It's like, it's a fucking card game at the end of the day. Calm your fucking tits. Like, dual cards are made to, like, to win political favors in this fucking world like that. It's like, someone trades a blue eyes for a seat of power in this, like, universe, if you think about it. It's just like, it's ridiculous when you think about, like, it, like, too carefully, but, like, I honestly like, you know, like what Yuya was doing. Like, you know, he had the Laugh Maker, he had him in there, he was trying to pull that shit out of there. He was also like, there was like a weird thing where he did an Entomate exchange where he gave every single card of his away apart from like the laughing, like, you know, mage, and he just did Smile World, used that effect, gave like the his mage about like 6,900 attack points because everyone got increased through this stuff. Tried to attack that, but then it was like, no, fuck you, guy, I'm still going to be using my monster's effect and all that, fuck you. And then turns out this was his plan all along, like, to actually do this, to like fuck with him and all that, because if you, once, like, you have the, like, the Laughing Man, like, once his effect activates like that during the effect of Smile World, he's allowed to bring back one monster from the graveyard, and it can be any monster, and he brought back Brave Eyes, and he negated all of them, and since it's like, well, the Dystopia guy's already used his effects, and it's only once per turn that he can do this, Brave Eyes comes in, does that. I at least appreciate that, like, with Aster Phonix, he did not give up, he kept increasing his monster's attack points, and it was like, no, I've got this fucking action card. It's like, alright, you're going to be using like, you know, the fusion monsters, and it's like, you know, to use fusion dimension, guys, alright then, I'm going to use shit from you Lancers, and I appreciate that a lot. It's like, no, fuck you, I'm going to be using your own shit, I don't care, like that, like, I don't give a fuck about this, and just uses the action card, and it's like, Yuya grabs his own, it's just like, I'm gonna copy your one, double, and like Brave Eyes at the end, like, had like 6,400 or like a ridiculous amount of attack. Like, it was like, I like Brave Eyes a lot. I think Brave Eyes is a really cool card, and I'm glad that he brought it back to like finish off the duel, but it's like, wow, that introduction from like last week was terrible when it just got destroyed. I was like, wow, this really, really cool looking dragon just got super owned. It was weird because we got to see a tiny bit of like Yuya's father's ace monster, that spellcaster with all the rings and stuff, from what we've seen in it. However, though, like, we didn't particularly get to see what level it is. He just like summoned it like that. Obviously, it's like another flashback, so like they obviously want to save this monster for another time, and it's probably going to be some insanely powerful monster at some point, like whether or not it's going to be like, you know, what exactly it's going to do. So I'm really curious about that. It's like, you know, hey, what's going on with that? Like, I really want to know, like, you know, what's going to be happening with this, like, card? Are we going to see more of it like that? And it's just like, well, I want to see what it fucking did. If it was like, if it was able to beat, like, you know, from what we mean, I say, like a 2900 attack point, like, you know, dystopia guy, like, with probably using that combo as well. It's like, I'm guessing, like, if we're putting the, like, the 2 and 2 together, that it must be like 3000 attack points or so, like that, if it's doing that, and it has probably some fucking mean-ass effect as well. So, really wondering as well, but, you know, it just looked weird at the end with the brave eyes doing the smile rage burst. So it's like, rage and smile do not normally mix in together when the two go at each other like that. It's just like, and it's just this blast of explosions, and it turns into fireworks of smile. It's just like, oh, I just got completely obliterated by this tornado of happiness and just sheer destruction when you think about it more and more. And it's like with this show, you think about it too much, it gets fucking dumb. It gets really retarded in some ways. So other than that, like, it was a good episode. I feel like the finale between Aster and Yuya, I thought it was enjoyable too and all that. However, though, I will say the preview really spoiled of, like, the conclusion of it. I was like, wow, like, how would Aster, like, you know, feel about that after everything? Because he definitely accepted it at the end from what we saw about him just, like, closed his eyes, accepted it, just took the blast. But it's like, you know, the preview was, like, a little bit too spoilery, I feel like, about that. So it was like, you know, it could have had some mystery thing on there, but it was like all of them were surrounded by academia, so I guess you could have just put 2 and 2 together. But, like, regardless of what, it's like, maybe you could have just had, like, some other stuff in there. So curious to see, like, what's going to be happening. Is Aster, like, now going to be a good guy? Like, that's what, like, I'm wondering, is he just, like, going to be, like, a vagabond now, where he's just going to leave academia? Like, you know, well, I'm really curious. I doubt he's going to join the Lancers. Like, that just feels a little bit weird. It's like, oh, yeah, no, just another guy on the boat. Like, I don't know, like, it feels a little, maybe it could be a replacement for Serena for a while, like that, since obviously we ain't going to probably see Serena for a while. Although, it's like, please tell me Grace and Glory are going to join at some point. Like, that's all I want. Let them just be part of them. Like, that's all I want. But other than that, I thought it was an enjoyable episode. I am looking forward to a lot, though, what's going to be happening next week and all that with 112. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I thought it was a solid episode. I think I'd give it a solid, like, 7.5 to an 8 out of the duel itself. I thought it was a fine duel. But that's all from me. Thank you much for watching. As always, if you love Arc as much as I do, then you know where to hit that like, you know, hit that subscribe. But that's all from me. So I'll see you beautiful bastards, though, next time.